Madam President, thank you so much. This is a moment for me that I think it's fair to say I will never, ever forget. And I'm so honored. I'm so honored to have members of my family here, staff from past and present, from both my personal office and committee, extraordinary colleagues who I adore, I love, I worked with, fought with, debated. I'm so honored that Senator McConnell and Senator Reid have said really nice things about me. I think in Senator Reid's case, we go back so long. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. In Senator McConnell's case, we didn't talk for a long time, and then we did get together, and we did some great work together. But I think he was here just to make sure I'm leaving. My leader over in the House is here, Nancy Pelosi, and I will talk about her more. My colleagues from the House came over in the midst of all their work. I love them. I have enjoyed working with them. I look around this chamber and I realize the reason I'm able to actually leave is because I know each of you and your passion to make life better for people, and that's what it's all about. Madam President, when I decided not to run for re-election, you know how the press always follows you around, and they said, "Is this bittersweet for you?" And my answer was forthcoming. No way is it bitter. In every way is it sweet. And why do I feel that way? It's because this has been a dream, to be in a profession that I think is noble, no matter how beaten up it gets, for 40 years, for more than half my life. And I was able to do every day what I always wanted to do, which was simply to make life better for people. I didn't always succeed. Were there frustrations? Yes. Were there disappointments? Yes. Were there defeats? Yes, many. But every morning when I woke up, I knew I had a chance to do something good. And as a first-generation American on my mother's side, and most particularly as a woman, I never in my wildest dreams imagined that I could be in the United States Senate. It was an uphill battle, and I know I speak for a lot of people sitting right here who know what I'm talking about. When I first ran for the Marin County Board of Supervisors in 1972, it was a Republican landslide year. It was more than tough. I'll never forget one woman I spoke with after knocking on her door. I introduced myself and said, "Hi, I'm Barbara Boxer. I'm running for county supervisor." She greeted me by saying, "I never thought you'd be so short." And then she said she wasn't supporting me, to quote her, because you have 4 kids and you're going to neglect them if you're elected. Well, never mind this was a part-time job, just a few minutes from the House. Never mind the man I was running against had a family and a full-time job. And never mind that I actually had 2 kids. But she insisted, Nancy. She said, "I know you have 4 kids because I read it in the newspaper." I said, "Lady, when you give birth, you never forget it, and I did it twice." Well, I lost that seat. But 2 things helped get me through it. First was an article by Gloria Steinem, who essentially said that women tend to take losses too personally. We have to understand we could be just a little bit ahead of our time, and we can't give up. And second, my son Doug, only 7 at the time, ignored any attempts to cheer him up by saying, "Mom, can you make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch?" The point is that life goes on, no matter how deep the disappointments. You pick yourself up and you keep fighting, because this is your country. It's our country, and it is worth fighting for. So I ran again 4 years later, and I won. I was eager to get to work on things like after school for kids, protecting the natural beauty of my county, ensuring that a child walking to school would be safe, and I soon became known as the stop sign queen. I put up so many stop signs to protect kids. But, it was local government, and the world was changing. The Vietnam War was raging. The women's movement was ramping up. The oil companies wanted to drill off the pristine coast of California. So even for my position as a local county supervisor representing only 40,000 people, I was exposed to these national issues that would soon require all my attention. Tip O'Neill, one of Nancy Pelosi's great predecessors, was known for his saying that all politics is local. But the global became local in Marin County when we got a federal grant saying the threat of nuclear attack is real. You have to have a plan to evacuate the county in case there's a bomb dropped in San Francisco. This was in the 80s. Well, the Reagan administration, I think, missed the obvious. Getting in a car on a narrow road to evacuate to Napa or going under your desk wasn't going to protect you. So all 5 supervisors, 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats, rejected the grant. Instead, we mailed the informational booklet to every household telling them there was no way to evacuate from a nuclear bomb. You had to prevent it in the first place. And during that same period, James Watt wanted to drill off the coast of California. We put together business people and environmentalists and farmers and everybody. And we said no, and the tourist industry joined us, and we stopped it. That was my first attempt at very broad coalition building. So as national issues unfolded before my eyes, I had to do more if I really wanted to stay true to making life better for people. So when John Burton's seat for Congress opened up in 1982, I jumped in. It was a long shot, and I'll always be grateful to the people who brought me to that dance. Working people, environmentalists, children's advocates, they put me over the top. And after I won this election, I began hearing about the mysterious disease that was stealing the lives of so many in my congressional district. I remember feeling so helpless because we didn't know what it was and what caused it. But one thing was clear: AIDS was devastating, and too many in Washington were just not taking action. When we found out it could be transmitted sexually, I had to go up against the far right wing who didn't want to provide any information about the disease. Yet here I was, a middle-aged mother of 2 from the suburbs, talking about condoms. It was uncomfortable, but this would become my way. In the face of a crisis, never look away, never back down, and never be afraid. In the case of AIDS, I got to work with the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, a Southern gentleman. He never heard of AIDS. And he said to me, if people are sick, we're going to help. And we got the first double-digit federal AIDS funding. And we established an AIDS task force and brought in people like Elizabeth Taylor and Elizabeth Glazer. And we fought back. And we took it under our wing to solve this crisis, both adult AIDS and pediatric AIDS. By that time, I had an extraordinary new partner in the House, Nancy Pelosi. We immediately bonded. I was so impressed with her passion and her energy. We remain the dearest of friends to this day. I'm so proud of her. Nancy has changed the face of politics in America, and she will go down in history as one of the most influential leaders of our time. Recently, on a recent issue, I was expressing deep disappointment, and Nancy told me, "Don't agonize, organize." This was 2 nights ago. She's right. When things get tough, that's what you do. Over the years, issues kept coming my way, came the way of a lot of people in this room. The Violence Against Women Act, LGBT equality, protecting a woman's right to choose, workers' rights, protecting the Clean Air and the Clean Water Act and the Safe Drinking Water Act. Those are all examples. And these fights continue. And they keep coming, whether you're in elected office or not. They come to you if you're a single parent trying to raise a child and struggling to make ends meet on a minimum wage that's not fair. They come to you if your kid gets asthma. They come to you if your job has been outsourced and you have nowhere to turn. They come to you when college tuition gets out of reach. And whether it's happening to you or someone else, the great thing about our participatory democracy is each of us has a chance to make a difference. You can make a difference by holding an elected office or working for someone who does. You can make a difference by working for a campaign. You can make a difference by starting a business and employing good people to help you build it. You can make a difference by becoming a teacher, a nurse, a firefighter, or a police officer. There are so many noble ways to make a difference in America, but the one thing you cannot do, even when it is tempting, you cannot turn away. Never. The forces and the people who shape you cannot be ignored. And I say to everybody within the sound of my voice that you have it within you to step out and make your mark. A lot of young people come up to me and say, I'd love to do what you do. How do I become a U.S. Senator? I'm sure lots of us get that question.